facilities and such just a couple of weeks ago. And so we'll go ahead and move to number 5, action items. And may I have a motion to approve the second readings of all I through XI?
So,
Thanks, Jen.
I'll second.
Thanks, Mand. Is there any discussion? I just have one little discussion item, right? Yeah, KDAA. So if you see KDDA, press releases, conferences, and interviews, there is a slight change. I just wasn't comfortable. It was pretty tight on the president. Could only talk about school issues, but you know, I do like to write letters to the editor, and I didn't want to limit a future president from being able to talk about the dog poop at Van Beer or something like that. So we're adjusting that. So be sure you look at that. It's highlighted in yellow. Okay, it is only the second reading, so if you don't like what that is, talk with policy Mandy and Jody, David and Ken. Okay. Anything else to discuss or highlight? Okay.
Dr. Breckenridge-Pettit.
Aye.
Dr. Hill.
Aye.
Mrs. Pascal. Aye. Dr. Rhodes. Aye. Ms. Schickman. Aye. And Mr. Vaughn.
Look at us, guys. We are going on 5B. We might get out of here at 7:30. I need a motion to review and approve policy JS, student use of the internet and electronic communications, and the district use of Cloudflare and Delideo for internet content filters. We have a motion. Thanks, Mandy.
Second.
Thanks, Jen. Do we have some discussion?
Let me just make sure you understand
Yeah.
this. This is nothing that we recommended. This is comes through those E-rate things. And they looked at some of our past documentation and they wanted to see this exactly written this way under action items. And so you've already approved this policy. This is not a change or anything else, but the powers that be at the federal government wanted to make sure that this is in front of the community again. So it is here.
So this is purely E-rate and not our insurance.
This is E-rate.
E-rate, got
So
it.
grant
Okay.
dollars that go to that space.
Okay.
Well, and just for the rest of the board, I emailed Jody and David to point out that the memo regarding AI is in direct contradiction to this policy. So this policy, the AI section says along the lines of, if teachers allow kids to use it, they can use it. The memo says no AI at all. So I guess I do feel like there needs to be some discussion on what, because if I were a kid and I got in trouble for using AI, I'd go straight to this policy and say, the policy says I can use it, right? And then you'd say, well, the memo says you can't. And if I was the student, I'd say, I don't care, the policy trumps the memo, right?
Right.
So I do think that it kind of puts us in a little bit of a bad place.
Bit of fun.
And I know the point of the memo is to be like just a bridge until we get
Until we get our whole policy up to date.
built out.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's not.
Cart before the horse.
Yeah, I just feel like it's kind of, I don't love having a policy that contradicts a memo that our staff has been told to follow.
It also is like philosophically opposed.
Right,
Like,
it's
one
Right, it's a
thing
very big difference.
Completely opposite.
is what they'll see, and it helps with critical thinking, yada yada. The other one says it does the opposite.
So I noticed this too, but I kind of interpret it differently. I saw it as the policy is more open-ended and says the teacher's discretion.
Yeah.
You can use AI, and the memo says doing it. So I read that as the teacher's not extending their discretion to allow them to use AI. So I also kind of noticed that, but that's how I
Framed it.
They reframed it in my mind.
I
So
suppose that could work as,
Teacher's discretion, but no, you can't.
But the principal has taken away that discretion.
yeah, so I suppose that maybe works now.
yeah.
I mean, I want it to not go on very long. I would love for us to have a cohesive technology philosophy for the district. 'Cause I do think they're pretty limiting for our kids and what they'll face in the future.
Yes. And the memo is just for Salida High?
Mhm.
Right, so that's, we can hone in on where that comes.
The staff were bringing up all of the summer, they needed some more support because there was too much confusion. They weren't sure how to run their classrooms, and so that was Jesse's, and so that was the discretionary part.
We have staff that wants to allow students to use AI for assignments.
I mean, there was stuff allowing it
There
last
was
year.
staff also using it effectively to say, this is how you can see opposing viewpoints, your say, this
Essays,
is how to
right.
use citations. And so using it as a tool, not obviously teachers saying, use
Copy
AI,
AI,
right?
right.
Well, another example was like in the Tenderfoot Times class, they were allowed to use AI to help generate interview questions. So they had to put in, I'm writing an article on an soccer team and I need to come up with questions to ask. And they were allowed to use AI to help generate those questions. So that's just another example that I know of because I know my kids were doing that.
Teaching effective prompts.
So yeah, so it definitely wasn't a like, you cannot use this last year. Like there were teachers who used
I think they were teaching to use it.
Yes.
One of the neater examples is in Salida Middle. Mike Lamont left, but handwriting your essays and then having AI grade it for leaps in logic or incomplete sentences and looking for those patterns and saying, this is where you need to improve your writing. You have subject verb disagreement, you have run-ons and stuff like that. That's where I know middle school is using it. Yeah, which I thought was really, Michelle presented that maybe 2 years ago or something. I don't know. Why, it's been a while ago, but that,
As we've identified, it's a priority for all of us this year, because it is all over the board right now.
Okay.
So,
okay.
So at
any-
this point, I guess we can feel comfortable that it says at the teacher's discretion, this is the principal's discretion of how it's gonna be at the high school until we put forth another policy.
That's a better, well, more,
Finish outlining the tech plan.
yeah, and the tech strategic plan, yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. Who's on that tech team?
Well,
Oh,
that's
Ross?
a question.
Apologies, I don't know if this minutia matters to the board, but you had Deladeo in, like, what's being approved, and it was changed to Gaggle.
And I did catch that in Josh's stuff.
Oh.
Gaggle instead of
Deladeo?
Deladeo.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That is
Packets of ones and zeros is what I'm, well, that's what Josh just said. Don't worry, Jody, it's just packets, ones and zeros. Don't worry about it.
I will highlight
Got
that to make a note.
Okay, thank you, that's fair.
District approved, Chad and Gaggle.
Here,
Deladeo is
One of the internet
a
content.
software.
It's called Gaggle now?
Yeah.
yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys. We don't normally have a crowd participation, but we small today, and intimate, so we're gonna do it. Okay, I think we're ready for a vote.
All right, Dr. Breckenridge Pettit,
Aye.
Dr. Hill.
Aye.
Ms. Pascal.
Aye.
Dr. Rhodes. Ms. Schickman. And Mr. Vaughn.
Hi.
Excellent. 5C, I need a motion to approve the county land MOU.
So
Thanks, Ben. Second. Thanks, Tiffany. Is there some discussion? I think there is.
I think I've given you everything. I think you should sign it. I think it's a great thing, and I'm excited and appreciate that. I don't know if we've got Commissioner Armstrong here and Beth here, and I don't know if there's be a great time to hear some more from you guys if you'd like.
We're happy to get this done. It took too long. Apologize for that from whatever from on our side. And we want to see the school district continue to be excellent like it is already. So some land helps position you to build something down the road, great. We want that to be available to you as part of the community more than anything else, not necessarily just the county, but.
So to be clear, this is 75,000 an acre for 10 acres is an MOU. And
We get a little bit of inflation.
with the inflation, and who determines that?
CPI, so it's a published inflationary table that comes out every single year. And so that is a set thing. That's not an arbitrary or subjective. Everyone has to sees the same numbers and can agree to that.
And we have sort of a 10-year.
10 years that's what the commissioners felt comfortable with, 10 years. If at that time it needs to be extended based on whatever the demographic and changes, then we would have to sit down, whoever's here in this room and whoever's in that room, and sit down and say, hey, we think we should extend whatever that answer is. But it sets people up, and the agreement still allows that to happen. The commissioners, it's important also to have that deed restriction that says, hey, if it doesn't end up in a school, they want to make sure that it returns to the people of the county who gave it originally, which seems fair. And there are some other things we've talked about in some of my videos and stuff about like, hey, if you don't make this happen, there's some like buyback stuff. But for us, we'd have to have a bond. Once you have a bond, you're gonna have a building up in 18 to 24 months. So they're not really substantive concerns from the lawyer or myself, and we had a good conversation. So,
But just to say the words for anybody, we're not buying anything now, and it's not costing anything to do this except for maybe
Right.
document work.
correct.
We're just holding, you're just holding.
It's
Well,
a
then-
right to purchase might be a way in the
That
land real
might get
estate.
better, all right?
Mhm. We're agreeing on a 10-year right of purchase for approximately 10 acres in that zone that's approximately laid out, right? There's
Right,
lot
right.
lines there that have been established, so at that point, the teams would have to do that.
Right, and we felt that our really low risk of not being able to meet your parameters, right, the pace, because it would be voted on bond, and then when we get the full money, and so we wouldn't drive our feet or default or anything like that, so we felt the risk was pretty low. I'd be remiss if I did not say that I feel a little like a spotlight ranger as the president, because our friend and great buddy Joey Smith started working on this long before I even got on the board. And so, and he did arm wrestled and framed and dreamt and approached and everything like that. And I just get to sign the memo. So thank you, Joe Smith, if you're out there. And
He's definitely not.
he's definitely, I know he's definitely not tonight either. Definitely not tonight.
He will call me in the morning. He reads all the minutes.
Okay. Shout out to Joey. Does anybody else have any comments before we move to vote? Before we vote, not move to vote.
It's exciting to finally get it done.
Thanks.
Don't worry about something else.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Oh, we're ready, President?
Hi.
All right, that's an aye for Dr. Breckenridge Pettit.
Oh, sorry.
Dr. Hill. No, she's
Aye.
Mrs. Pascal.
Aye.
Dr. Rhodes.
Aye.
Ms. Schickman.
Aye.
And Mr. Vaughn.
Aye.
Okay, we're yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, okay. And thank staff and thank your peers, the elected peers, and click your heels. Thanks a lot for leading. On D, we're dropping into some Robert's Rules of Order here. So I need to read this, and then
Motion and second.
and then
And then we vote.
And
we vote, and we're doing. Okay,
we need a motion.
okay, but okay, that's all I need. Thanks for the Robert Rule rabbit hole.
That was allowed.
I need a motion to approve stadium bathroom project increase.
I'll move.
Thanks, Tiffany. Second. Go, Derek.
Second.
Thank you. Now let's have a discussion.
Also, I have recommended not to approve this. It's beyond my capacity at $100,000 plus some change to do that. I think the project still needs to move forward. I think that the original bid that we approved has required a lot more due diligence. It is definitely, Sean and I both believe we should do more due diligence. I think this is a time to pause and step away from this contract, think deeper, think better. And if we can't come up with something better, we'll be right back here and we'll have a really solid number and we have a great contractor. But right now, I think there's space for more due diligence, and I think I'd be remiss not to recommend doing that. I think it should be done as soon as possible. So, we're at the space now. You're probably not going to do a lot of projects with winter coming and students here. So it would be on next year's capital project list. I would hope by January, February, we have the due diligence done, better designs if we can discover them. And it's right back in front of you. So this is not a don't do it. This is a let's do better diligence and let's think better.
And I think that it probably aligns better with, as we are framing with CMC on Kesner for the equipment storage area as well. That, I don't know if you've had time, but you did have it's something on your computer dealing with, the water tap or something as well that?
Yeah,
might
I did
not
show
have-
you there's some language and we don't have all of those documents. That's sort of the documents that were lost between Sean and I's computer this summer. So we're gonna have to go back to the city and the county and really look at
See
what
what-
the original plans and who paid for what.
And, right.
Again, this is why I'm like, that feels like a due diligence thing. There's confusion there. Big question being, we ordered water taps to be put in underneath that second student parking lot. The sewer tap and all the sewer line was put in, but the water tap apparently was not. And so that requires some due diligence to discover what really happened. And it's one more reason to take a deep breath before we just put some money in something and not do our jobs.
Well, and then,
Andy,
I mean, I was looking through all of this today and then just thinking, I mean, we've thrown around the idea of needing a bigger weight room, which would require us to have a wrestling room somewhere else. We have the Kesner shed with the storage. So what I was kind of calling and chatting with David and Jody about is this doesn't really solve any of those problems. So this could be a great design, but it's super basic. And so I was kind of brainstorming earlier today, like, could we do something totally different? Like, could we put the bathrooms off the side of the building on the other side of the locker rooms where we already have water and electric and sewer and all of that? And could we bump out and add a wrestling room there? And then maybe you just put a shed for this football track supplies where we're currently considering putting this building. So I have no idea
Right.
if the space works there, but I feel like we've kind of been centered in on this little zone. And now that it was like, well, we need to add bathrooms, now we're into the retention drainage pond and that adds more money and now we have to go get water. It's like, well, the water's right there. We could put bathrooms right there, bumping up to the locker rooms. So I
Right, right.
mean, I'm
So
sure there was
creative thinking,
easements to the
yeah.
sidewalk in the parking lot, but I guess I feel like we really haven't very creatively thought through. So part of that would be us deciding, is the weight room expansion and wrestling room a priority?
Our cap projects priority
Right?
list,
Because if we're
right?
gonna do all this, why wouldn't we somehow try to do that?
Love it. Wasn't one of the goals for people not to have to go to school during sporting events though?
Well, and they still wouldn't, because
Right, you
we
could
would,
tours.
so I'm just saying, like, so the school ends here, right, locker rooms are here, could we put bathrooms here, so you're tapping into the same.
So they're still separate.
It would still have an outside entrance into those bathrooms, but you're like using your same plumbing that you already have,
Oh, I see.
versus like you're building
New
a
line.
completely different building. I was just trying to think of,
And
So,
then
and I
I
don't-
went and looked at it actually, and there's some space there that I didn't, I thought it was just, building a little bit, like a little token easement and then the parking lot, but
and there's
some-
already storage right there too, so it's like there's storage, there's bathrooms, there's weight room, wrestling room. Right, so we could just make all of that bigger, maybe. So I don't know the next step, like of how we pursue coming up with a better design. I mean, first, like I said, we have to prioritize, are we expanding the weight room and doing the wrestling room? Because that would be part of it, right?
Should we get some kind of proposal by somebody that knows things?
I think we can. We've already worked with first one's already with architects, but I think maybe we can look at it, maybe put out an RFP for another architectural committee or
And
firm.
could we say, like, we want you to come over to the property and consider every possible scenario?
Like
Like,
some
it
creative
doesn't have to
thinking.
just be right in this spot, but could it be here, could it be?
And there's also, I think, some local people. And like I said, I think we need to come back and bring you guys back some good solutions that say just this. What if you wanted to look at a more comprehensive set of things, here's the ways we can do that, make it all work together. I think we owe the community some more due
A little.
diligence.
Ben, would you be willing to maybe work with Karen? She's our facility lead, David. And the third one, Mandy, but that is a quorum, but could you take Spear on that? You'd be comfortable doing that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that. And then what do you, I just need a little bit, how you feeling about, I know that you're discouraged, but, how you feeling?
Well, I don't want to spend money on building something that isn't gonna be a good idea. I recognize, like, I know we trust DSI, I trust DSI a lot, and it's too bad we didn't have the communication versus different, ideas changing, so why it didn't work, but it might be kind of a blessing that it didn't work out if we can incorporate a bigger plan that'll help more people. So I'm okay with it. I would
Okay.
definitely on the side want those porta potties not next to the gate. And
We know
I think
that.
we
Okay,
can
we can
get
make-
that done. If I complain about that one enough.
Right. And so in the meantime, so that could be a second mission of this little sub effort. Okay.
Right, and I think it is important to remember that
The
that
interim.
is part of why the cost did go up, is because we asked for more bathrooms, which expanded the building into the drainage pond. So, I mean, I think he did a good job of explaining that was certainly some of the cost.
Mhm.
And then the water was some
And
of the
certainly,
cost,
yeah.
right? So,
Yeah. Okay.
I personally don't feel like the extra 100K is unreasonable. I just feel like potentially it's not our best design.
And would you still envision like a concession stand and maybe the booster club, they don't have to bring their tables out, maybe something like that too?
Yeah, I mean,
what do you
I
think?
think all of that, what we're incorporating, the concession, the booster club storage, the bathrooms are all still needed.
Mhm.
And then we
you can
obviously
still do it,
need
and then
a
you-
shed for all of the track football equipment.
Track mats and then
Um,
football stuff, yeah, okay.
which I think could be a separate building. I don't think, because that doesn't, it has electric, I guess, for the garage door, but it doesn't have plumbing. It
Right,
doesn't
the
have
wa- the-
lights,
the
it doesn't,
water and
you know,
sewer.
so like that doesn't have to be designed with all this where we need water and electric and sewer.
It's just.
David, can you move the storage from Kestner?
That can't, well,
Well, it can't
if
really.
it could be, I wouldn't recommend it.
Right, okay,
I think
it
it's a
is.
permanent part,
It's a
and I-
little Ricky.
And I think
Ricky.
also that's, yeah.
Part of the
if you
deal.
leave that there as part of the deal we've set up.
That was the agreement, okay. Any other?
The shop kids could probably build a storage shed.
That is an option.
Construction class.
There you go.
We
It could be an Eagle
could. I
project.
want to make sure that it matches the community's
Aesthetic,
expectations
yeah.
and its final display.
Fair, maybe not an Eagle project, okay. I'm seeing them.
Are we ready to
Okay,
vote on this?
I believe we are.
All right, Dr. Breckenridge Pettit,
Nay.
Dr. Hill,
Nay.
Mrs. Pascal,
Nay.
Dr. Rhodes. Nay. Ms. Schickman.
Nay.
And Mr. Bond.
Excellent, okay, 6, we have board updates on several things. Mandy, why don't you give us a little update on policy book A that we're working?
Well, we did just approve that in consent, so
Mhm.
David went through and did a great job of writing little notes, and none of the policies
There was no
needed
drama.
any updating or editing, so
And
A is done.
A is done, look at us. And David, since we did do the total scrub, now we're just doing books per month. How did it feel for you?
It
Better
felt pretty
than
good.
better than
Yeah,
last year?
no, it helped
Actually,
me.
2
And I
years ago.
discovered 1 or 2 policies that were really good for me to review.
Update.
One is an innovation zone. I'll probably bring it back in a conversation later on. And it was also helpful because it pointed me to solve getting a better student code of conduct or student handbook. And so I was able to also tackle that this season. And so that's in draft form, and I should be able to have that ready for the September board meeting.
And so with that, like it'll be linked on the website. So, I mean, like we said before, the student handbook is just gonna have all the policies linked so that when Kim updates the dress code in there, it updates everywhere and we're not just like constantly finding that this is inconsistent with that. But then where will the schools, because the schools still have their own supplement sections.
So I'm imagining on the website, then you'd have like Salida High School editions,
Okay,
right? And give them a space to how that might
and then
read
you'll
Salida High School.
probably kind of go through that and make sure they're not linking any policy or
Yep.
putting in for any policy.
And then it would all be in
That
one
stays-
place, and then it can be reviewed
Okay.
and make sure we're compliant legally.
Yeah, I like that.
So
that's
Jody and I are
important.
happy to do the next book too, because it took me about 15 minutes.
Right, and it's gonna be a really exciting, if you guys wanna help, it's gonna be really exciting, because we did the hard work 2 years ago, now we're just coasting, so come on
Don't
over.
volunteer for G or J, just saying.
Jason, that's It's where all the fun stuff happens.
That's where the action is.
Really?
All right, agenda.
Okay, all right, Jen, Strickland, okay, next is DAC executive team. We spoke at the grind how we're reframing it, and instead of asking individual citizens, we're asking those organizations that support the Salida School District. and David and I have a pre-meeting
Mhm.
and then an established September, late September meeting to invite those people. The ball is now in my court. David did his work. And I would to just call individuals and of those academic booster club, of the athletic booster club, of Achieve as an example, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so we are happy to do that. And we're going to the athletic booster club kickoff meeting to see if they're interested. Any exciting and compelling questions? Okay. All right. Ben and Aaron, finance.
So not much has changed since the
Right.
meeting. I think, Aaron's mostly been sleeping in and napping half the afternoon, so I don't think it's really been, but
He's thinking if only.
I have spoken to a couple people in the community, and they're definitely actually excited to be able to help with like a specific issue or problem arises that they could then
Surface
have
in
a
and
right team idea rather than a schedule.
Yeah.
Really.
Cool. Excellent. Aaron, any reading of the tea leaves from the Capitol with regard to per pupil funding or
No, I mean, we briefly talked about, I mean, there's nothing new.
nothing new? Okay, yeah.
But, we did briefly talk about drop-in, and I think we're gonna try to get more information for you, and maybe do a work session to discuss that. David talks a little bit about that coming on about soon. But you know, nothing dramatically new. We're just
Okay.
trying to get through these 2 weeks and get everybody on board and get payroll and pay people and
Yeah, there's no,
ask.
you haven't heard anything from any sneaking in a BS factor or anything.
No.
Okay, excellent news.
But I will say
Correct.
he's working hard on the audit. That is
It's
2
the
weeks from now,
season.
It's true.
officially on board, and the initial numbers, and we'll praise Aaron because he can't do it himself. Around 1 to 1.5% discrepancy between budget and actuals,
Yeah.
which is about as close as you could ever get. And that was the
That was
orders, was to get as close as you could. And
So
so
we can't get any closer.
probably not much
I
closer.
don't think so. So much closer than
So
we're.
it's a
just
wild
just
success.
It's wildly successful. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, any questions for any of the finance folks? All right, Jen, 6E, communications, any?
Right, yeah, well, annual report is our big topic. I
Sorry.
read through the last four. Oh, should we stop?
No, I just wanted to highlight, she just skipped.
Oh, because
Karen's
Karen's not here, I'm
facilities. I
sorry.
just wanted
Oh.
to,
Is there?
sorry, not to jump.
Did the Spartan Heights, did that close?
Sorry.
Yes,
Right.
To finish, Jen, and I'll come back.
I'm
and
sorry,
get
I just
facilities.
skipped facilities
I
because
just wanted to
Karen
make
wasn't
sure.
here.
Read through like the last four annual reports, if you will, community newsletter.
Mhm.
And they used to be about 5 pages shorter, but I feel just as effective. So I think we can tighten it up a little, be a
Okay.
little more concise, in getting our message out about everything that's happening in the
Well, good.
district. So I assume Kim and I'll talk soon on that front. Also, Casby, speaking of, if there are things you would love the Casby people to talk about at Casby, please email me. They really seem to enjoy suggestions. Sometimes it happens. So if there's anything you want to learn about,
I mean,
Yeah,
I think the
AI.
biggest thing is specifically in.
They've done a
AI
lot.
policy.
of topics, or they've done a lot of, we've been to a lot of things on AI, but AI and policy would be
Super
great.
helpful. I think specifically policy.
Yeah, they're more like bragging
Hey.
sessions.
Yeah, like, oh, we're so
Right.
awesome. Look at how much technology we have in this one. We need to.
Huh. I will send that into them so they have plenty of time to hopefully. think that for us.
I did get today that David and my presentation was accepted, but they're not accepting whale sharks and bullseyes as the title.
See, what is?
Right, so
Well, the whale shark,
Oh,
the whale shark, the 3 years for every budget, right? You guys know it takes forever for a budget to move on, right? And then the bullseye is our priorities, and that's how we talked about.
Why do they want that title?
They don't want high attendance.
We want you to create a title that provides a good understanding of the content. That's what I was saying.
Just out of curiosity, right?
It would have to
Because
know
all the other
that
sections
whale
are
shark
so
that
cool.
stays for 3 years. Or they would just be like.
I'm
It just-
excited
it
to
just
hear about
Came in this afternoon, yeah, so,
Like, great.
yeah, I know, you didn't know I put you in for
I'm
that, so,
excited,
okay,
100%.
so. We'll see, we might just axe it, because they don't let me do my job. No, I'm kidding, focus, focus, I'm, okay, I apologize, thank you, Kim, for earning your
I
salary.
didn't mean to step over Jim's.
Karen wasn't here, so I skipped facilities, and I apologize for that. David?
Over the summer, I would just name that, we did finalize the sale of that Spartan Heights Quadplex to the Chicopee Housing Trust. You guys, it's a big deal. You're one of the only government agencies to actually get from the beginning to the end of this affordable housing and put teachers in those spots. And by putting this into Chicopee Housing Trust, not only did you get the affordable housing and make sure those dollars that we collected went to that, you also were very profitable in turning that. That also was one of the inception points of helping us get Colorado Mountain College started. So a lot of things. And you also gave them a $400,000 credit. So because the assessed value is 1.6 and you sold it for 1.2. So I just want to make sure you stay aware of how much you've been supporting that and taking your abilities to do that. Yeah. So that's there. The last thing we'll do, we've got to wrap up the HOA, and then we are out of that situation, which was kind of the previous iteration of the board was like that's with other people collecting taxes around the housing authority. It's not our lane, and so we are out of that lane now, and we're in a good spot.
And just to confirm or clarify, priority does go to a school district staff.
It does. For
Right.
the season of the deed restrictions, about 10 years.
Right.
But it's not like a forever deed restriction.
And it's not for, I mean, and if there's nobody of interest, then you open it up to the creator.
Yep,
Of
that
interest.
community can then
Of
move it on.
Okay, yeah, I
Yep.
remember reading that, but I wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's a great facilities update. I appreciate it. All right, technology, Jen and Derek. We really worked on this at the grind. There, you may not have an update.
We did. I've been just reflecting on like why is the AI topic such a big one and hard one, and I do think it's right to ask Casby. And I guess the way I'm thinking about retention, the way I'm kind of framing it that makes sense to me is, the best argument for having kids not using AI is because you want them to build their own skills, critical thinking, ability to
Organization.
analyze. You want them to be able to do that independently. The best counter argument is, well, the stuff's out there. They're going to be using it probably when they enter the workforce in a couple of years. What is the role of the school system to help them learn? how to
Digital
effectively use it?
citizen, absolutely.
And I think what we all want ultimately is what's in the best interest for the kids, but this is so new. I don't know the right answer. I don't know
How to do it.
how to cut this right now. So that's I think where we are, and any policy guidance from Kathy would be
That'd be great.
helpful, because I imagine everybody else is struggling with this right now too.
Well, and for what it's worth, the kids are too. Like I had a bunch of juniors at my house the other day and they were like, can you please, they asked me, they said, can you make the school district have to have certain classes like me first? I was like, well, not really, I can suggest.
Right.
But they were like, well, can you please suggest that we have a class on AI? Because they were like, there's so many different platforms, there's so many different things, and we want a class that teaches us how to use all the different things, what they're all for, and et cetera, et cetera. So the kids, I think, also feel a little bit lost by all of it, and they are looking for guidance from us as to what and how to use it. So that was the first time that I had kids directly say, like, you guys are missing the boat, like, you need to teach us how to use this.
That's good feedback.
That's fair.
And I would like to lump that in with other.
Right.
We need to leave our high school with the skills to work in an office and not show up and say, I don't know how to use an Excel doc. Because it is 2026.
Yeah.
And we need to
Yeah.
offer that to our students.
Yeah.
Just literacy.
Just
At
right.
the lowest level.
And recall that we were talking about maybe digital citizenship potentially being an advisory, or could that be a CMC? I'm looking at Beth because she's our rep on their board. And then, I mean, maybe if it's how to use it, it could almost even be a community class. And yeah, the citizenship and how can I write that little formula at the top of Excel?
I mean, I think it'd be great to give them some guidance.
Well, I'm sure that most universities probably are starting to have ethics classes specifically on AI and technology use. So potentially, that would be awesome to see CMC have that class too.
They are actively having those conversations.
Oh, really?
Sorry, Peanut gallery, but yes, that's very, very proactive considerations in the exact same thing.
I also think there are big pitfalls in AI. I mean, we're struggling with it as a hospital as well, because I'm the chairman of the informatics committee, you know,
Bless you.
you know, what are the privacy considerations, what, and how do you get caught in the loop of getting wrong information? Because, you know, you put something in and you're assuming you're getting correct information, and even like, you know, data that is documented with sources. And if you don't bother to click into those sources, you don't realize that they're sourced wrong. And so teaching the kids that they really do have to investigate the information that they're getting from AI is really important too. Because
100%. We don't talk about that.
we're not taking that kind of stuff.
Right.
So we definitely can't just ignore that AI's there.
Well, and then when you tell it like, oh, actually, you're wrong. Oh, you're right. I am wrong. Oh my gosh.
Jen.
Yeah.
Jen.
So sorry.
Yeah.
Mushrooms were a point.
No, Jen Schiffman. Let's move on from technology to wellness and social emotional. Tiffany.
Well, I mean, I think, you know, they cues right in. We're
Right.
waiting for all the data for Healthy Kids Colorado to kind of finish the wellness piece. But we talked about a lot of it at Brian.
Okay. And do you have any rough estimate on that availability?
I think Jessica that Bennett, she's only working on that in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We should see all her fixes, and then I'll take it to the staff kind of side of it and let them upgrade it so you get a good solid draft 2.0 to look at it. And then I think the other big piece is what you guys are working on with the book study and teen alcohol exposure that we're struggling with in our community. So I think that's the other big push.
And one thing, I mean, before I was on the boards, when my kids were little, like 5th, 5th, 6th grade, so maybe like 6, 8 years ago, you guys actually held like a parent meeting to review all the Healthy Kids Colorado data, and like a lady from the state.
I was there.
And I actually felt like that was really impactful for me, because I mean, it was also terrifying because my kids are like 5th grade. But
Look at you
and
now.
then I joined the board. So I do think potentially something like that too, like in conjunction with we do the book club, but then we actually present, these are the facts of our community, and try to encourage, and maybe parents will be more inclined to come if they've started to see a little more buzz about it. But for me, that was super impactful because it was like, no, these are our actual kids. These are our actual numbers. These aren't national trends. These aren't,
This is what's happening.
this is what's happening in our community.
Yeah.
Maybe just spitballing, maybe that puts it probably tied in a little bit to the club thing, if we don't find other outlets of that, just some presentation of that data.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. I think if that timeline fits, David, could it?
Well, we got it.
Because I know Savannah can make a visual.
With her AI tool.
We did actually talk about like us framing the data instead of, you know, having other people frame the data for us.
Well, and I think
You
with
mean
the book
us,
club, there's no thought
A
of,
district.
I think with the book club, there's no thought of them discussing any data, right? It's just like, we're talking about the
Okay.
book
Okay.
and talking about, we know that teen drinking is an issue in our community, right?
That's
But
as
I
deep
do
as you're gonna.
think potentially if we have data, then that's a good idea we could say, hey, can we present this at the beginning of the book club to kind of frame the conversation about why we think this is important.
Here's where we are, and we are higher risk takers than the rest of the state.
I think there's probably other data in there too that's important also.
To teach.
Like
Beyond.
Yeah, no, the lady from the state covered everything. I mean, she went through the whole, I thought it was super
like
helpful.
high risk sexual behavior, which goes along with drinking and drugs.
Right, well, and then all the mental health pieces,
Mental health.
the risk of suicide, depression, like they covered all of that. It was really good.
I mean, now they're ready.
Yep, okay. Excellent, thank you. And then H is Mandy and activities. You're cold? Oh, okay.
I don't like it.
If you need it, it's a
okay.
tortilla blanket.
You have
It's a tortilla blanket. If you
I mean, activities, I think we're still just, it sounds like, I mean, David kind of gave us an update, the fall sports are up and rolling, official practices started yesterday, we had a physical night. You mentioned just kind of briefly in the video about volleyball cuts. I mean, I think that's,
I think it's something we have to clean up this year.
yeah, just because I feel like that actually is kind of maybe a bigger thing, knowing that the district has never made cuts before for any program. And I don't think it's gonna be without some challenge and sadness.
Yeah.
So I guess I just wanna make sure that as Ryan is reviewing
Navigates
that with the
that.
coach, that it's been really thoughtfully thought through, right? Like, do we have 4 paid coaches for volleyball?
Yeah.
No, you have 3, but you also have the hourly positions that you
Okay.
can, like, it's for supervision. So if the
Okay.
position, like, if you get 40 kids,
Mhm.
you have the ability to say, here's a lot, we're not going to put towards this sport, because this sport has 10 kids.
Yeah.
So it kind of gives them the flexibility.
Yeah, so I mean, I think I just wanna make sure that they've sat down and had a really good conversation about, yeah, how many kids is it really feasible to have on each court with this amount of coaches? And I mean, I wanna give kids the opportunity. We all know that kids do better when they're in activities. And if we have older kids who've played volleyball their whole high school career and then are getting cut their last junior or senior year, I just feel like that kid is, I would imagine, not gonna have
Crushing.
a super successful semester.
At least 9 weeks.
So it just, I mean, so I know that we're at that point where we have to make those decisions, but I guess I feel like this one came kind of real fast, hot and heavy, and with a new AD and a transition between ADs. And I just want to make sure that it's really been thoroughly vetted and thought through. You know, like if the thought was let's cut at 40 and we have 41, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
It's hard.
It's hard, and it's hard because we haven't really taken the time to make a good policy.
I agree with that, and I don't think it's come upon us quickly.
Agree.
It came upon us now, but if, 2 weeks ago, we took a survey of everybody in the room and said, hey, which sports could get, we'd be,
Yeah.
looking at cuts maybe, it's like, obviously, it's the volleyball, so we knew this was on.
Past is pro.
In the future, we didn't do anything. about it. So maybe going on that thought process, maybe it should be a slower rollout or no cuts this year and have a better policy, or I don't know what the answer is on that, but I agree. I think it'd be awful to just throw down the hammer on some kids that make a real difference in their life.
Well, and it also feels like the kids are kind of like the byproduct of a bad system, right? Like we transitioned ADs.
And that's why it's.
And then I feel like that's partly why, I mean, and coaches have to make decisions, right? Like you can't just indefinitely.
Right,
There's not
right,
enough-
right. There's
you
a
can't-
forced
math
time.
is-
Right, so
It's a
this
forced
is
time.
this is no judgment on any coaches or coaching or their decisions, right? Because
100%.
coaches have to have the leeway and liberty to also run their programs, how they can run them effectively. And we all know you can't have 100 programs and effectively run it. So I don't know. I don't really have a solution. I guess I'm just expressing that I don't want to see kids cut and sad. If it's avoidable, until we maybe have a little bit better plan, till we have more options, right? Like the whole dance team that you mentioned, which I've been saying for 5 years.
We can improve there, yeah.
Or at least
So-
some other creative option.
An
with
involvement
those
with.
students who there would not be space, like, I don't know, mentoring or coaching, or I'm just throwing out.
Right.
Singing and
random-
playing.
Something that gets them to be at the
Involved,
school, after
engaged.
school, rather than at home. I mean.
Yeah.
how many-
Are you
something to do.
feeling so uncomfortable with this that we postpone it and we really create a policy over
Well,
a year's
I don't think
time?
we can really do that necessarily.
Because,
we're
right,
talking about
because we-
making tryouts this week and she's got to run and she has a game next week, right? So
Okay, so
we
it's
can't
the,
really, we can't
There's-
really
Horse
handle.
left the barn.
There's no solution. You can't put that many players in.
because we keep going.
And I think part of it was
B, C, and D
the transition,
teams.
and maybe we could have been.
How many kids are we talking about cutting?
Well, I think that's probably, I don't know exact numbers. These are all just like the rumor mills flying around of.
I'll get a piece of paper. and
You just
send-
kind of mentioned it in your video and.
Yep,
I
I'll
just
get the piece
think
of paper and I'll send it to you.
It's just tricky when we've never cut and then boom, we're cutting. Good luck with your life.
So, and we'll also need to talk more about this year about what other options can we bring, like we're gonna, we gotta look harder at activities as we know it's good for kids, so then what are the more activities where we can get creative and like this instance, fall, female, sport activities were the options, and so we have good stuff going on, but now we gotta find more good stuff. And the
And
problem will
perhaps-
be volunteers.
And perhaps, Ryan could talk to Wilcox about those, if those women do get cut, maybe they can.
Yep, that's already on the table.
Okay, that's already, okay, they can do cross country, okay.
I would argue probably most volleyball clubs are.
But if they wanna do an activity, for
Yes,
sure,
that's true.
okay.
That's a good
And there's mountain biking
Cheerleading.
and cheerleading, although those audition, well, never mind.
Cheerleading's-
Yeah, we got it, okay. Okay, in activities, I am compelled to acknowledge and thank D-Ray Kraft, because he's, helping with football at middle school. Thank you, D-Ray. Pass on my, gratitude.
It takes about a year and everyone gets sucked into coaching.
Right, the whole town. It's not a drop-off town. Everybody's got a.
It was gonna be something else, so.
Takes all of us.
Okay, and then last but not least is BOCES. How are things going? Are you gonna be the chair?
Are you the only board member still?
Well, as of right now, yeah, I am the only board member, but we do have our first meeting next month and there'll be more board members.
Okay, so folks are being able to, where they're stabilizing, and fortunately, it's a very healthy group organization, so,
Susan is great.
okay.
So it will be fine. I suppose I'm going to be president.
Gotcha.
Okay,
But we haven't had a meeting.
Right, summertime.
Take the summer off,
Yeah.
so we'll have a meeting in, September, yes. So,
I would just name BOCES was part of it, Achieve, lots of people, we really appreciated having Temple Grandin in the building. We felt honored by that, and the staff appreciate getting a chance to hear from that national level speaker. And so that was nice, and BOCES was always, part of helping us as a region do that, so it's good to have that.
Raymond's inspiring.
Yeah, very lucky.
okay. Anything else on any of our, areas of responsibility? AORs? No. Okay, a couple of things. Remember, if you have a topic or concern, please send it to Mandy or me so that we can get it on the agenda for the next board meeting. There is, school safety. Do you remember that's the annual event that we
The
do?
Q&A.
The Q&A for school safety. Traditionally, there's, about 20 law enforcement or board members there for one or two parents. But if you want to go or are interested, please let Kim know.
Well, and I actually think there may be more attendance this year because it's piggybacking off Salida High School back to school night. So maybe.
Oh, there might be.
Oh, it's the same day.
Yep, yeah. So
Yeah, that's a great
maybe
idea.
It will be just after.
Right.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. And then would anybody be interested in agenda review for September with me? To David. Thank you, Jim.
Jen.
Okay. Kim, you will wrangle us.
Yeah.
When it's best, it's not at a set time.
Correct.
So,
And one final, it's not formally on the agenda, but just double
Oh.
check. I sent out an email about Casby. Some of you have responded. I'm assuming everyone's going. But let me know if for some reason you don't plan to attend. And I think that's it.
okay. And remember, next month's meeting is a week later to accommodate a river permit.
And like.
No.
Yes, I was just giving him a hard time. I was just giving him.
I request that we can go tour the middle school climbing wall and spider.
Oh,
I was a group.
Like as a
I mean,
work session
or if we-
before, or?
Well, no, I don't know if we want to do it as a group or one part. I just know Michelle probably doesn't want all of us popping in individually. And saying, hey, can you get me into?
Next thing we can do, we do have, I'm gonna recommend a work session proposition in next month. So maybe I can figure out how to do an SMS tour and then someone make that all fit together. We got it written down.
Okay.
And then should have a little more, route set on climbing walls and that sort of thing. You really just want to climb, is that?
I mean, I might, but
Okay,
Well, only if a proper adult is in the room. Remember that. Remember that.
Definitely does not count.
No, not at all, not at all. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn? Don't need a second. All right. 40 seconds.
Can you please hit that?